He challenged the system, laughed in the face of power, and made enemies in places most people wouldn't dare. Richard Belzer wasn't just an actor. He was a restless mind, a relentless critic, and a man obsessed with the truth. His character, the iconic Detective John Munch, spent decades uncovering mysteries. But when it came time for his own death, there were more questions than answers. Did Belzer know too much? What did he uncover before he passed? And why does his story remain shrouded in doubt to this day? If you want to uncover the truth behind this legend and the secrets he left behind, stick around until the end of this video, because what we're about to reveal might change everything you thought you knew. If stories like this fascinate you, and you want to keep exploring the mysteries that few dare to question, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Here we dig deeper than the mainstream media and bring you the facts that really matter. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, and join us in the search for the truth. Richard J. Belzer was born on August 4, 1944, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. From an early age, his life was marked by challenges that shaped his sharp wit and restless mind. His father, Charles Belzer, was a tobacco salesman. His mother, Frances, had a strong and unpredictable personality. At home, the environment was chaotic, and according to Richard himself, humor was his only way to survive. But what no one could have predicted was that this need to turn tragedy into comedy would lead him to a level of success that would span decades. In school, Belzer already showed a natural talent for comedy. He wasn't the best student, but his intelligence was undeniable. He briefly attended Dean Junior College in Massachusetts, but never completed his degree. His future seemed uncertain until a tragic event changed his life forever: the death of his mother. It happened when he was still young, and not long after his father took his own life. These losses would leave a lasting mark on Richard. Though he rarely spoke openly about the emotional toll, it was clear that he carried a deep and personal pain. But instead of letting it consume him, he channeled it into his craft. Before fame, he tried everything. He worked as a reporter for the Bridgeport Post, where he developed a critical eye for society. But it was on the stand-up stage that he truly found his voice. During the 1970s, Belzer became a key figure in New York's comedy scene, performing in clubs alongside legends like Andy Kaufman and John Belushi, comedians who would go on to define an era. His style, sharp, sarcastic, unpredictable. But his career truly began to take off when he landed a spot on the National Lampoon Radio Hour. National Lampoon was a groundbreaking comedy program that gathered some of the most talented comedians of the time, including Bill Murray and Chevy Chase. It was there that Belzer perfected his impeccable timing and solidified his reputation as one of the fastest, most intelligent minds in comedy. But what set him apart from others wasn't just his humor. It was his fearless approach to challenging authority. While many comedians focused purely on entertainment, Belzer used comedy to question the system, expose contradictions, and push back against power. This boldness would take him far, but it would also land him in some highly controversial situations throughout his life. Television quickly recognized his talent, and Belzer began making guest appearances on various shows and films. But behind the scenes, one of the strangest moments of his life would unfold. During a live episode of Hulk Hogan's show, the wrestling icon decided to demonstrate a grappling move on Belzer himself. The result? Belzer was knocked unconscious, hit his head on the floor, and suffered a serious injury. He later sued Hogan and received a substantial settlement. But this wouldn't be the last time Belzer found himself going head-to-head with powerful figures. What no one could have imagined was that years later, he would become one of the most recognizable faces on television. His path to law and order. SVU was filled with unexpected turns, unlikely friendships, and moments that proved he was far more than just a comedian. So how did a stand-up comic become one of the most iconic detectives in TV history? And why did his character, Detective John Munch, take on a meaning far greater than just another cop on screen? Richard Belzer's transition to television was seamless. His razor-sharp humor, magnetic presence, and ability to improvise made him stand out. But no one could have predicted that one role would completely redefine his career, making him one of the most enduring characters in American TV history. In 1993, Belzer was cast as Detective John Munch on the critically acclaimed series Homicide: Life on the Street. The character, inspired by a real-life Baltimore detective, was a perfect match for Belzer's style. Munch was cynical, skeptical, and obsessed with conspiracy theories, a reflection of Belzer's real-life personality. But what started as a role on a single TV show soon expanded in a way no one had ever seen before. Detective John Munch became the only character in television history to appear in 10 different shows. He crossed over into The X-Files, The Wire, Arrested Development, and of course Law & Order, SVU, where he remained for 17 years. His name became synonymous with dark investigations, complex cases, and an unrelenting mind that constantly questioned the official story. But there was something deeper about Munch, and by extension Belzer. His character wasn't just another TV detective. He represented something bigger, something real. Unlike other characters in the Law & Order franchise, John Munch wasn't just a detective solving crimes. He questioned the system, spoke openly about government corruption, doubted official narratives, and brought to light conspiracy theories that Richard Belzer himself believed to be real. Off-screen, the actor was an outspoken critic of the US government, diving deep into topics like the assassination of John F. Kennedy, alleged CIA cover-ups, and other controversial historical events. His fascination with conspiracy theories wasn't just a gimmick for television. Belzer wrote books on the subject, including UFOs, JFK, and Elvis. Conspiracies you don't have to be crazy to believe. In his research, he interviewed former agents, analyzed declassified documents, and challenged the mainstream media to uncover the truth behind events that, according to him, had never been fully explained. This stance gained him a dedicated following, but also caught the attention of powerful figures. Behind the scenes, Belzer's co-stars always emphasized his kind and human side. Mariska Hargitay, his longtime scene partner on Law & Order SVU, often referred to him as a big brother figure. His sharp humor helped ease the tension on set, especially considering the dark and heavy themes the show frequently tackled. Beyond his on-screen persona, Belzer had a deep love for animals. His dogs were a constant presence on set, and he treated them like family. But behind his strong persona and biting humor, Belzer carried deep scars. He never fully moved past the tragedies of his youth, and he always had a complex and often turbulent relationship with Hollywood. His departure from Law & Order SVU, for example, was surrounded by mystery. Officially, he retired, but many fans believe there was more going on behind the scenes. Belzer was never one to follow the rules. He refused to conform, and over the years he distanced himself from Hollywood's inner circles. Yet his influence remained untouchable. Even after stepping away from television, his name continued to appear in discussions on pop culture, politics, and conspiracy theories. But what no one could have predicted was this: his death in 2023 would raise even more questions than answers. On February 19, 2023, Richard Belzer passed away at his home in France at the age of 78. The news of his death was first shared by close friends, including writer Lorraine Newman. The official cause? Complications related to ongoing health issues. However, much like many parts of Belzer's life, his death also sparked speculation. For years, Belzer had been battling various health challenges, including respiratory issues and age-related complications. Yet, his sharp mind never seemed to fade. He continued to write, made occasional public appearances, and stayed connected with fans through interviews. Just weeks before his passing, friends reported that he seemed relatively well, which surprised many who had been following his journey. What few people realize is that Belzer always believed he could be a target of larger forces. His obsession with conspiracy theories wasn't just for entertainment. He truly believed that some people knew too much and paid the price for it. In his books, he referenced journalists and investigators who died under suspicious circumstances. On multiple occasions, he openly stated that he didn't trust the official explanations of many major historical events of the 20th century. Another element that fueled doubts about his death was his long history of calling out corruption. For decades, Belzer was an outspoken critic of US policies, military operations, CIA activities, and high-profile events like 9/11. His book, Dead Wrong, Straight Facts on the Country's Most Controversial Cover-Ups, covered topics that even today remain avoided by mainstream publications. So was there something more behind his death, or was his passing simply the result of long-term health issues, as his friends and family insist? It's important to remember that, unlike other deaths shrouded in mystery, there was no concrete evidence of foul play. No investigation was opened, and there were no signs of a crime. The most likely explanation is that Belzer passed away naturally, after a life filled with excesses, challenges, and ongoing health struggles. But for those who followed him closely, his death only reinforced one of the very beliefs he stood by. The truth isn't always what it seems. After his passing, tributes poured in from all corners. His longtime friend and Law & Order SVU co-star Mariska Hargitay called him a legend who would never be forgotten. Dick Wolf, the creator of the Law & Order franchise, described him as one of the sharpest minds he had ever met. The entertainment world lost a rare and irreplaceable talent, but his influence remains very much alive. His books, interviews, and life's work continue to spark curiosity and are constantly rediscovered by new audiences. The character of John Munch remains iconic, serving as a symbol of skepticism and resistance against official narratives that don't always add up. Richard Belzer may be gone, but the questions he asked the world still echo today. How many of his suspicions were actually true? What else did he uncover? And more importantly, how far did his investigations go before his final days? The answers may never come, but one thing is certain: he will never be forgotten.